What is happening, everybody? So we got a lot to talk about today. This is the Bellroy 20-liter Transit Workpack. Yeah, that's a lot to say there, right? This is my new EDC. I got a couple other pouches and gear and stuff to go over, and we'll jump right into it and chat about what I think so far about this, right? So when I talk about the Bellroy Transit Workpack, it is near and dear to me. I actually owned one of these previously and sold it. And so I just recently bought this one, picked it up used actually, and been rocking it for about a week and a half now, maybe 2 weeks. And it has been fantastic. I remember all the reasons why I loved it so much before. So real quick history, I had this pack. I used it as my daily carry for probably, I don't know, 6 months. And probably about 6 to 8 months ago, I sold mine. Mine was an older version though. There's a couple different things. I first thought, and I didn't do any research about this, but I first thought it came out in an 18 liter. This is a 20 liter. So I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I just, have looked, bought, and reviewed too many bags that I can't remember the liter sizes of stuff. But when looking at this, it does have a few adjustments and changes. So the Bellroy Transit line in general, there's 3 of them. This is the Transit Backpack. I've owned this. I did not sell this. And when this came out and was reviewed, this is pre-COVID for sure. It was one of the first bags I truly like. Oh man, I think that's my perfect bag, right? And I traveled to Arizona on a 1-bag travel trip with just this bag. It was pretty awesome. That's including a second pair of shoes. I don't even know how I got it all in there. But they have some distinct features. This one is one of the first bags I remember had 2 water bottle holders. And I'm a nut for water bottle holders. So as you can imagine, I was super excited. And then I was even more excited that the water bottle holders are like hidden and they're these compartments, right? So that's even another pretty neat function of them. So that all being said, let's get into the Transit Workpack, the smaller version, why I'm carrying that now, why I'm using that, and then also some of the distinct differences between the two. One of them is going to be, this is the older version I noticed, doesn't look like, I think they call it a PU coating. You can kind of see here the zips, they're all AquaGuard zips, right? YKKs, but the newer versions have like this glossiness to them on the zips, and I think that's some type of waterproofing coating that they add to it. I will say I feel like the zips move a little easier. AquaGuard zips are always just a little bit harder to move around, but I feel like with this coating it makes them even a little bit easier. So we'll dive into the actual bag itself, but before that, we're going to take a quick little detour, and it's going to be story time with Ryan. So the reason I love bags so much is because each of them have just their different engineered, strategic, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, right? They're just different value propositions on how they help us in life. And so I had a 4-day trip where I needed a roller bag, which I used the Monos, and because I was taking a bunch of gear, and I needed a travel bag. And I went through 4 or 5 iterations. I used the Peak Designs bag, I packed everything in my pack travel bag, I packed everything in the air travel bag, and I used the Bellroy. In fact, it was to the point where my wife was like, how many times are you gonna pull everything out and put it in a different bag? I think you just have to be content with what you got. And I was like, I just don't feel right. And I went and I grabbed, because I sometimes don't think about the Evergoods Civic travel bag as a full travel bag because I've always used it as my EDC. So this is 26 liters, right? And some of the other bags I just mentioned are a little larger than 26 liters. And there's always this ongoing debate. Liters is just, it's not an exact science. Let me tell you, I took everything out and put it into this bag. I had additional room that I didn't have in that Bellroy 28 liter. Don't get me wrong, I love that too. But I had additional room from that. I had more room. I felt comfortable from a packed travel bag standpoint. Not the Peak Designs. That thing's a monster, right? You can fit a small child in that bag. The only reason I like the Peak Designs travel bag, but I wasn't taking enough stuff to take the Peak Designs. Like it's so overwhelmingly large that it just didn't make sense. But Evergoods did such a fantastic job on pocket placement and thinking logically about, it just, as soon as I got everything in it and looked at it, I was like, home. I feel like, I just felt comfortable. And so anyways, so just a quick little detour about that. Just is awesome. So let's talk about the Bellroy Transit Workpack. And let's talk about the fact that I sold my previous one. Where I was at that point, and I kind of moved into Evergoods and GoRuck stuff after that, was I really wanted a bag that could stand on its own, as you can see. Now this, there we go. Okay, we can kind of get it to stand some days. It's not going to be, the perfect standing bag for sure. And that was one of the items when I got rid of mine or stopped carrying mine that I wasn't thoroughly impressed with. But otherwise, super well thought out. If you can deal with the fact that it's going to fall forward and such, you'll be in perfectly good shape. So don't worry about it from that perspective. So let's just dive into it. We're gonna open every pocket here and just kind of dive into it. The outside fabric on this The outside fabric on this is definitely different than my old transit backpack as well. I feel like this is getting closer to what some reviews and people talk about, like the Venture Ready pack. It's got a flatter look to it, and it's got like a rougher, I guess I would say. It's not as smooth from a texture standpoint, but I really like it. I really like it a lot. It is Bellroy, so you never know what fabric they're using. It's some type of recycled, water resistant. They put some coatings on it. They do a pretty fantastic job overall with all of that. But for all the geeks out there that nerd out on fabric materials, Cadora and nylon and ripstop and you name it, and chitin and all that sailcloth, I don't know. Bellroy isn't real specific most of the times about what their fabric is. So, all right, so let's jump into it. So as we get into it, let's just dive in. So first zip is the front zip here, right? And this is best accessed from the side view, as you can see here. I've got a checkbook and a little Ziploc with rubber bands and such. I got my employee badges in here. There's no key leash in here. The key leash is in this water bottle pocket, and I'll explain that in a moment. But it just works better for my badges and stuff to be in there anyways. So it does have a like 2 pen holder, right? I got a Sharpie and a highlighter in there. But the one thing I will say about this, especially, and I do a lot of comparisons to the travel backpack, which is, about 8 liters larger. But the one thing I will mention for sure is this zip is rather short. I mean, it's one hand in there for sure. And then you can see the pocket ends there and up here. So it's got some good amount of size to it. But just the actual zip itself, I felt like they could have came down a little further, but they didn't. I don't feel like that with the backpack. Main pocket. Let's just dive right into it. And, I don't have it filled, so let me fill the main pocket. Surprise! There's a Evergoods CAP2, which I also picked up. I don't usually pick up this much new gear, and let me tell you, it's been interesting over the last 30 days here, right? So, all right, so main pocket, that's typically what I carry in that fashion. This gets jostled around a little bit sometimes, and this looks a little looser in here. As you can see, I'm kind of pushing. But I have my Christian planner and my iPad, as always. I did purchase the CAP2. I purchased the CAP1 as well from Evergoods. And so we'll talk about that real quick here in a bit. My medical kit, which I feel like I carry too big of a med kit around with me, but whatever. And then I have a little pack towel. So 8.5 by 11 tablet, and then I have a little journal that I take along with me as well. So I like the high visibility. It's not bright orange. By all means, I'm always going to compare now high vis to the Carryology Bullet Kaiden, and that thing is just amazing, but it's not quite to that degree. In the Workpack, it's a little bit toned down from the backpack. So the backpack has 2 pockets here. It has this same pocket, and then it has a secondary pocket with a zipper here that you can put even more in. But it does have that awesome Bellroy mesh. It's just a really high quality feeling mesh, and I've just got some what I would call my like bio components in here, right? Some vitamins. I do have my Hero Clip, but deodorant, contact solution, stuff like that. Whenever I'm going anywhere, so I keep that in there. And that's it for the main pocket. As you can see, it's pretty thick. It's got some depth to it. Just a really solid, solid deal. So, all right, so we'll close that back up. Up top, we have a quick stash pocket. So, again, it's pretty small, but it has that Bellroy mesh, kind of. It's a little, I think, more of a closer, it's not quite as netty, if that's a word, but I got a bottle of lotion and some mints, right? Some Altoids. But as you can see, there's a little bit more depth there. Typically, I would have a charger and a battery, like a chargeable battery, you know, on the go, you know, that kind of deal, right? Anchor. But let me tell you about the laptop slide here, right? So the laptop pocket, and I'll get to this beautiful thing right here, but at the moment, let's talk about the laptop part of the laptop pocket. So back zip is a laptop pocket. That's a MacBook Pro 13-inch. You can see there's plenty of size here to continue up. And then even if we look at the false bottom, we are right about here with that false bottom. So it should give you a better idea of where you're at. You have a little bit of padding there. Then we have what I'll refer to as the accessory garage or pouch or pocket. This is really unique. This is where I think Bellroy really shines when it looks at some of their creativity. This is also, not preventing, but helping me keep an additional pouch free and clear of this entire bag. So portable battery, like I mentioned, charging cables, like I mentioned, would normally go on the quick stash. I do have a Anchor adapter and a wireless mouse, my wireless Microsoft mouse for my MacBook. But that is a fantastic mouse. So that on the backpack, there's a zip here for this, right? And I think they even promote that you can get some functionality with it and zipper, like you can take a tech kit and put it in there, like the Bellroy tech kit or something, or even some other type of, you know, maybe a CAP1 or something like that. But nevertheless, for this, it is just kind of open. I'm all right with that. If you can imagine yourself, you know, out, you're at a coffee shop, whatever, you can literally just open just this one zip, get your laptop, have your accessories with it, and whatever you need, which is pretty darn cool. So, along the back, as I had talked about earlier, we have two water bottle pockets. Now, on the Workpack, I will say they are a bit smaller. I tried putting I have a Camelback chute, basically, 24 ounce, I think it is. With the solid like extra handle on it. I made it in, but it was just barely. I mean, it was crazy me cramming it in there. And then I have my sunglass holder case in here for this one. This is the pocket that does have a key leash, as you can see. I'm not using it, but nevertheless, that is how that works. If you put anything large in here, A, they bulge out, which is to be expected, and B, you will see some of that intrude on your main pocket, right? So there is my sunglass holder kind of intruding in on the main pocket. So just keep that in mind. That's just the way that works. So that is the rundown of all the pockets. So let's talk about, quickly, some Evergoods stuff. I purchased both the CAP1 and CAP2. And I totally thought I was going to use the CAP1 for all my needs. And I quickly started stuffing it, and it got too large. And so therefore, I gave up on my CAP1 experience. And right now, I don't have anything in it. So I don't know, still looking for ideas there. However, the CAP2 said, hold my pouch. And this thing is amazing. So I took basically everything that was overstuffing my CAP1, and I slid it in here. And this is kind of like the catch-all, and there's so much room in this pouch. I know it says it's 2 liters, but dude, there's a ton of freaking room in this thing. So this is kind of the catch-all of stuff that I take because I need, but I don't necessarily use very often. So I got, you know, anything from, you know, Advil to business cards to an HDMI cable. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I've needed an HDMI cable at a show too many times at this point, so I've given up without, you know, not taking one. So I have an additional adapter because, you know, belts and suspenders, I need redundancy. A couple pens in there. The zipper pouch has some accessories, my name tag, a SIM card ejector. I am in telecommunications, some additional adapters and USB drives, right? What I love, yeah, there's, you know, lighter and a cloth microfiber towel. So, yep, some more Advil and whatnot. And then there's this, which you can get to it in two different ways. So my thought process here was, of the stuff I do use, I tend to, especially if I'm traveling, a lot of times I'll end up having to use a second portable battery on a plane, or just the way I travel, or if I forget to charge one, whatever it happens to be. And so I do love that there's additional external access to just that. And some of those are the items that on another bag, I probably would have had these in a more ready accessible pouch. But because I now only need one pouch for my bag, they're in there for there. There is a red key leash, again, not using it, but it's in there as well. So that's the CAP2, and it has been pretty freaking amazing as well. So that's it. I mean, that's the Transit Workpack, and I'm loving it. I'm loving the size of it. It doesn't feel super big on me. The one thing I will talk about is it is Bellroy, right? So it's not real big, beefy straps or anything huge from that perspective. The back panel is nice. The one thing I would say that happens to me, there's actually, I guess we'll call it two things with the straps. It comes out of the little strap leash, or whatever you want to call this, right? And I'm not going to try to put it back in while recording. This one's in, and you can see it, and that works out really well. But it has a tendency to slide out of these. And then the other thing I've noticed is the strap really does like to slide even when it's leashed. But like if I take it, you can just see there it bumped. It has a tendency to slide on me rather easily, and then you have to kind of cinch it again. It hasn't been annoying enough for me to care that much, so it's not that big of a deal to me, but it is just a little, you know, little item that I've fought a little bit back and forth. Not a deal breaker by any means. So there's the Transit Workpack, and it's been amazing. The second time around, I do like this one. The early one I bought had that different, smoother fabric, and I really do feel like I like this bag even more with, I guess, maybe the upgrades they've done since they've introduced it into the lineup. Not 100% sure. Again, I didn't do really a lot of the research to see what they changed since it was introduced, but there's definitely material and the coating. Those are definite changes I noticed from my original one to this one. So thanks for checking out the video, and have an amazing day.